Rick if we want to. Hi, Rick.
Hi, everyone. How's everybody?
Good. How are you?
Well, I'm clean as a whistle.
TMI, Rick, TMI.
As Randy would say, it's all good.
It's all good. Okay. All right, you ready? I'd like to bring the mayor and town council work session, January the 28th, 2025 to order. It is 5:33 p.m. All right, let's take a look at our agenda. And the first item is the annual budget request from the county commissioners. And in your packet, you can see letters from the county commissioner on several, I think we have several here from years past. And this one is from the president, Mr. Ted Elder, inviting the mayor and the council to our usual meeting with municipal officials to discuss grant requests on Tuesday, March 4th, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. in the commissioner's meeting room. And it goes on to talk about the county's obligation to provide a certain level of service to our citizens of Worcester County and hope that we'll be able to provide some level of funding. And then the commissioners will do their very best to ensure financial resources available to the county are allocated in a manner which will bring about the best possible service to all people. And then there's one from Mr. Patino in the 2024, and it talks about unrestricted grants, payment in lieu of taxes, the gambling money to the county bird park grant, and it gives you some ideas of the requests from mayors in the past. We have Lunell Hampstead with us, our financial manager. Can you go over this a little bit? What is the routine and the regular path to getting this completed?
As I understand it, the commissioners every year ask the mayor to present a request or give an opportunity for you to come and make a request for the town of Snow Hill for grant funding from the county. There is historically a unrestricted grant, and that is increased through the year. The town of Snow Hill also has a lot of county properties in it. Somewhere along the line, the county, instead of being billed for property taxes, is giving grant funds in lieu of those taxes. In recent years, the gambling, 10%, I think, of the gambling is given.
Mhm.
And then there is the fire department. That basically is a pass-through grant funding based on their out-of-town calls, the formula that the county, so the county submits that to the town based on that formula, and it's passed on directly to the fire department. In years past, it does, the town will decide if they could ask for more funding, appreciative of what they receive, but
Okay.
it doesn't hurt to ask.
All right. Well, let's see. They will tell us in form of a letter which
Comes after
monies
the budget.
you got, okay, and I have last year's, what we got was 500,000 in unrestricted grant, that you were talking about, 250,000 grant in lieu of taxes. Infrastructure grant, which was almost 50,000, and a restricted fire grant of 97,000. Then it has a tourism grant for Snow Hill appropriated to county tourism.
Can I interrupt? What did you say was the fire? What did a fire?
Yeah, it was called a restricted fire grant. based on the number, this is what Lionel was talking about, on the number of out-of-town fire calls. And these funds must be used to support the fire department.
How much was that?
That was 97,000.
Do we have that one?
No, I can pass it around. You can take a look at it. But it has the tourism and the amount of 4,500. And then the commissioners have appropriated, it says 100% that program open space to county projects. And as far as I know, of conversations with the commissioners, that we are supposed to get that for 2026. And that could be the basketball courts in Bird Park. And then the commissioners also approved a grant of 40,000 to Furnace Town. So I'll just pass this letter around to
Can we
everybody.
get a copy of it?
Sure, we get a copy of that, put them in their mailboxes. You want to take a look at that? So I'm just opening this up for any discussion. And you can continue to talk to me, but I wanted you to know this is what we have to, start thinking about and asking for from the county as far as monies for the town. So Councilperson Lee, do you have any thoughts on this?
I want to see the letter in detail, but when I read this and from my past experience, those funds pretty well locked in right now in terms of purpose. I guess my question is, when or where is the opportunity to look at different types of funds? That seems kind of scripted where we're in right now in terms of the areas. If the town chose to move away from those areas or not move away from them, preserve them, but to add some additional areas. And I don't have any specific areas that I'm looking at this junction. I'm just looking at, I read the letters that are here. All of them follow a pattern in terms of source of fund, identifying the funding that they want, not the sources, the type of funding for what they want it for. So where, based on what the county offers, or maybe I should be asking what are the other areas? Maybe that's the more appropriate question for where I'm searching. What other areas can we look at, going to the county, for sources of funding for?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. If you see something that, we're missing in these letters and the amount of money, if there's some project. I know different mayors have asked for different things. I think Mayor Jewell asked for wastewater treatment funding. I know that Mayor Pruitt, and these are letters from all the
Right, you
mayors.
included all
That
those in the
packet,
packet, yeah.
Yeah, of all the
In
mayors.
our packet that we got.
Yeah, you got, yeah. He asked for basketball courts and he asked for funding for Bird Park.
And I think, did he put,
That was, what
Yeah.
else? Anything else there?
is there anything last year about,
It's in, what he got is.
Yeah, I know. that's what he got, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't.
but what he
I
asked
remember
for,
because I remember the letter. If
is it in here?
The letter that all the mayors have written is in here, yeah.
All the mayor, yeah, okay.
I don't remember.
His isn't in here, I don't think.
It is.
Oh, it is.
Mhm. He asked for the same funds.
Bird Park. Yeah,
I guess just when he asked for the, maybe.
it had the three
The
steps of
grading,
Bird
it was
Park.
about the grading, yeah, I was just thinking that, I couldn't remember if we talked about the bridge. I know that came up, but
It
then,
did come up. It did come up with.
you remember that?
State
The bridge-
highway.
Oh, that
Well,
was,
remember?
that was not funds for the county.
No,
That
That's
was
SHI.
funds, we wrote a letter to the state.
Mhm.
Okay,
And
that's
we
right.
wrote
Thank you.
2 letters. It was
Yeah,
commissioner and then we wrote one to the state. And the one to the state, we really emphasize the infrastructure for the bridge and going the road across there.
Across,
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right.
That was.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Because we included, Market Street near the museum and the park. And, going Bay Street to, Market Street, going on to Bay Street. We
Mhm.
included those in there too.
Okay.
So we,
And bikeways, we also asked for
Right.
money, we got money for bikeways.
but
did, but we
that was
diverted
part
that.
of the.
Yeah, we
street
diverted to
were
Back
talking
Street.
about Building, yeah. Building the streets up.
Yeah, so this is,
And especially the bridge
Yeah.
across there.
so is that a separate recommendation from us for the state highway?
I am not aware of that.
Okay.
It,
think
it
Rick-
was, it
Rick,
was
do you remember?
state.
Can he hear us?
When we
I can.
wrote a state,
Go ahead, Margaret.
do you remember when we wrote the letter to the state and we were talking about the flooding across the bridge? And at
Yes,
that time was Bay
I do,
Street.
and we may have just, this week received a reminder from the County Public Works about that process getting ready to start again. But yes,
Okay.
we advocated again for the State Highway Administration to make that bridge crossing and the flooding in the area a high priority. And we did that through the county commissioners. They added it to their letter from the county to the state and included our
Oh.
piece, included us as a piece of their letter.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. So you're in favor of trying to ask for that again? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
we definitely
You agree
need
with
that.
that?
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
And then I had one other, thing to look at.
Sure.
I didn't know if we could request a higher percentage from the gaming venue. I know they get a lot more up north.
The percentages from my days there are, I believe, in the law.
So they'd have to have an ordinance.
So if you want me to double check that, Rebecca,
Okay.
I can.
Is there something about 10%?
It is, that's the thing that's.
And then there's certain things that you can use that money for.
Right.
Oh,
My
okay.
recollection is like when Ocean Pines would come in for theirs, they would say like it was being used for A, B, C, and D, and you had to do reports every year where the jurisdictions reported what they did
Mhm.
actually use the money for. And there's a casino money committee at the county level that I used to have to go to. That checks all that, but I think that percentage is set.
That,
But those numbers, like if you guys ever wanted to see the records, I mean, there's those numbers of what the revenue is.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
To see that.
Right?
I remember, I think you're correct, I remember when the law went and I opposed the law, and those percentages were locked in, okay? But I guess, you know, when I read this, Mayor, and I looked at it, it's rather perplexing for me for probably a couple reasons. Number one, regrettably, I don't feel that we're working as we want to work together as a committee. So it's hard to talk for me to look at planning, that I don't want to come to the table late to the party and say, poo-pooing what has already been done. I'm just not certain in my mind that, these are the total things that we need to be looking for with money available in terms of where my thoughts are. And I don't want to put any of that out on the table right now, because I'm not certain about it. A couple of things I want to get clarity on here today. And this is one of them. I guess I would go to you, Rick, on this, based on where you set on this. Should we want to look at funding for different aspects of town development? Overall, can you put that in a frame of what types of entities, and I'm gonna call them entities, whatever, they got basketball courts and bridges, whatever. Are there any types of specific types off limits in terms of, to your knowledge of asking?
Here's the thing, and if I can, let me back up just a step or two, because this is kind of a new process for the council. Historically, the county commissioners have invited the mayor to submit a budget request or a request for consideration from the county budget at this time of year, with a letter being received by the county early in February. Of course, we haven't even started, the mayor's portion of the budget has started, but the correspondence with the council doesn't even kick in officially until the end of March. And so when Mayor Jewell was in office, she took the standard budget process that had been followed for some time, with it, Lou explained, with the undesignated money and the payment in lieu of taxes money, and then more recently, the gambling money. That was pretty much followed from one year to the next. Mayor Jewell added a request for additional money, thinking that she made a case that because the county, us being the county seat, the county facilities used a lot more water and sewer services than a lot of others in town. And she thought maybe we could justify having an additional boost in water and sewer funding from the county based on their heavy usage of our resources. They rejected that flatly. Mayor Pruitt made the case that Bird Park is not just a town park, it's a regional tourist attraction that people come from all around to launch their boats, to take advantage of the playground, to have picnics, family gatherings. For years, the county fair was in Bird Park. And so he made the point that it truly was a regional facility and beyond the means of Snow Hill's budget to compensate for all of the drainage issues. We did, with a grant, conduct a master drainage study, and it that Davis, Bowen, and Friedel performed, and it provided 5 different steps to seriously address flooding in Bird Park. Mayor Pruitt asked the county to consider the first 3 of those 5 steps, which were manageable, they were affordable. It was somewhere less than $70,000, I think, to do those first 3. And then he also added a request for funding for the basketball courts. They flatly turned that down as well. And so Mayor Simpson, because Mayor Pruitt did get a little pushback last year in that he was following precedent and working with the county on his own, he was persuaded to take input from the council last year. And that's why Mayor Simpson wanted to get out in front of it this year and bring this to the table before any letter went in. There really isn't a lot of time to consider new projects or additions. As I say, the first piece of the letter with the unrestricted money, the payment in lieu of taxes, and the gambling money are pretty well set. And I think we can normally count on that being steady funding from the county. And part of the payment in lieu of taxes was designated toward the bicycle program that Ms. McAllister has been working so hard on. The gambling money is designed strictly for infrastructure, streets projects, and it's a reimbursement. We have to do the work, pay the bills, and then seek reimbursement from the county to pay for that money. And so if you look at those as sort of in a lockbox, everything else is kind of up to what you think might be a priority, where you could make a case that there's a greater than town interest, something that the county has a bona fide interest in supporting to a greater degree than they have been. Unfortunately, the schedule doesn't give a lot of time for some in-depth study into other areas. I mean, there's any number of things that we need help with, but you know, it's if you had pet projects that you think are not being addressed, or if there are some things that you feel we could make a pitch that justify a county investment as opposed to just limited to town investment, then this would be the time to consider those. And we have until February the 8th, I think, or 12th. Early second week of February, I think, to actually submit a request to the county.
They're supposed to receive the letter on the 12th, so. we
The
have to
12th,
do it.
right.
And I will
So
just add,
you have a couple of weeks to consider areas that you might feel are, you know, justify some additional county investment.
and I was just mad as someone who used to sit in the meetings and heard municipalities and Ocean Pines come and make pitches. That's what they would do at that one meeting. They would come one by one and come up and sort of make their argument of why the request was made, their reasons, like Rick is saying, and to put a face to the commissioners to make those requests. And, you know, I definitely remember municipalities in Ocean Pines having a specific project that they were asking for that was sort of like above and beyond last year's funding. you know, you take the swing and you see what you get,
Mhm.
kind of.
Mhm.
But they definitely, those,
It's not realistic for me to say I want to recommend anything specific at this time because my source is not in place, and my source is the uh, uh, comprehensive plan, and we haven't done a comprehensive plan since 2021, so we cannot really, I cannot really say, this is, this, and I'm gonna label it, I'm gonna label it, this is a pet project that I derived from this, that the people say that they want. And so what that's saying for me, sitting here now, is to, Rick, to come back to you, if I may, in a timely fashion, getting ready for next year. I need to start getting ready for next year when this time rolls around. Because to go up there right now, you're gonna get blown away. But I would ask the council, to look at the importance of working with Rick over the next year or getting ready for it, or what is the timeline that we need to establish to begin to look at this. So, I don't want to lose this, because if not, we will be then doing the same thing next year, doing what has already been done and not looking at what do we do different, or are we satisfied just doing the same old thing? And I'm not satisfied just doing the same old thing. So Mayor, do you hear, I mean, am I making sense to you?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I wanted to throw this out to you and make you aware of what is going on.
Yeah.
How it's been done in the past and what we need to do to go forward. And I don't expect you to have, answers tonight, but if you have something that you feel that needs to be addressed and asked of the council, I would appreciate you letting me know, and we'll go from there.
Can I ask, Lou a question?
Sure.
Under the unrestricted grant, the $500,000, do you know like some stuff that we basically use that for?
It's in your operating budget. It is budgeted.
It's
Those
money we
funds
use.
balance your budget. So
It's
it's
in
in
the
its
general
entirety,
fund.
yes.
Right.
General
in the
fund,
yeah.
general fund.
Just as the treasurer,
Okay.
it's money that we count on just to make ends meet
Yeah.
every year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have a suggestion.
Okay.
So I did want to make a suggestion. Thank you for sending this out last week, so I had time to consider it. And that would be to follow up on the sidewalks request. I think that would fit into the county's, interests, because we have the school system here. There's the 4 schools, in town, and not a lot of sidewalks to the schools. There are not enough safe routes to school. We heard testimony from Ms. Linda Beasley, who I know has contacted Commissioner Purnell on her own already to take up this matter. So I think it's something that we probably could pursue, and I thought maybe if, I know Randy said at the last meeting that he has a whole quote that was done in like 2019 before COVID.
Okay.
And so if we could get our hands on that maybe to make a presentation or make a pitch. So
Okay.
that's what I would put to you,
Okay.
Mayor Simpson, is
Okay.
just, that would be my recommendation.
No, we had talked about that when I was principal at the Snow Hill Middle School, and I know we have to do,
Mhm.
can you hear
Yeah,
that? And I
I
thought
was,
we were going to
Yeah,
have walkways for kids, and it just
Yeah.
never seemed to.
There's not one street that has sidewalks. There's not one route to any of the schools that has sidewalks all
Sidewalks
the way.
all the way.
There are sidewalks sometimes they are on ones, and I guess that's considered legal, or whatever.
There
It's
you
on
go.
one
But then the
side.
kids have to
on one
cross,
side.
even on Colburn, you have to cross over. So, yeah, I think if we could get that study from Randy, ASAP, sent out as a.
Okay.
Just one of the things you guys include is that there is actually a map of missing sidewalks that you guys think are important. I think visuals are very helpful.
Visuals, great.
Beyond just, and also
Words.
the dollar amount, visual, these are the sidewalks we need.
And the dollar amount.
Yeah,
But that way it's not this lofty, oh, we just need sidewalks, like,
Right.
here's the streets where there is no connectivity. on
I think, yeah.
I know, because I watched
Especially to the
presentations and they just
elementary
get up
and
today, I want same as last year, and then sit down, and it just doesn't,
You can attach them to your letter.
I think that's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Well, if we can get that quote from,
I'm certainly visual, I mean, I like to see it, and only hear it, but.
yeah, so if we get that quote from Randy, maybe
Okay.
the first step, and that'll help us, to see what's in there, because if that has any maps or.
And Randy has it? Okay. All right, did you have something else?
Yes, I think that's a great idea to bring those sidewalks. We've been talking about them since time immemorial.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing has happened. So I think it's great.
Yeah.
However, I want to come back to the minutes and come to you, Mayor. I want to make certain that we are on board. I saw acknowledgement of what I was talking about, getting ready for next year. But I want to kind of capture that in the minutes or in some form so that we don't lose this, so that we get ready for next year plan for this. So I'm not sure how to do that. Okay,
She's got it,
thank you.
thank you.
I also.
Anything else?
I was gonna bring up the sidewalk.
great.
But I also for, infrastructure part is we need to really look at our water, sewer, and some of the drainages through the streets like we did. I know we had the grant for Purnell Street, but I don't know if that could be something we could ask for extra included
Okay.
in there too. If not the streets, we could at least, our water plant, they have the government buildings that are, we have sewage and stuff that's going through it, so that could be a part that could be asked you for improvement.
Okay. All right, great. That's very helpful, guys. Thank you very much. Okay, B, discussion on question of moving town election date to the fall of the year. This would require a change to the charter. At another work session, on December 3rd, Tuesday, we were given by Mike Barlow, who is the chair of the charter committee, some documents from him in changing the charter, and we had lots of discussion. And one of them was to change the town election date to the fall of the year. And I thought that we needed to discuss that again. In your packet, the yellow area, it has Councilmember Fletcher supported coming back to the discussion of dates of elections. And so I thought maybe we could have a discussion on that now and see if we had a consensus or a resolution. So I'll start at the other end. Let's start with Councilperson Fletcher.
The dates, I think I said I'd like for the spring, or when I was reading this, did you tell us, Maureen, that we had that if it was in the charter, changed in the charter, we had to be written out specifically?
Yeah, I said my was concern is that the drafts that were put before you, were very, very vague and took away the specificity of this happens on this date, this happens on this date. And I would not do that. I would either keep it as is with the dates that you have, or if you are, moving it to the fall, then we pick very specific dates. Like, right now it's flipped to.
And
The
that's
new
in the
elected
packet.
shall take office at the June council meeting, it was gonna change to at the mayor and council meeting of the month. No, I would keep very specific at the first meeting of November, at the first meeting of December, if you moved to a November election. I would be specific, so you're remembering what I said correctly.
Because I think in charter, committee meetings, we had discussed about the council having the ability to change the date periodically, at least 5 years or whatever. So your recommendation is to have a more specific date. Okay.
So you said in the charter, y'all discussed it as what?
As the council being able to change the time, like if they say it's not working in the fall, then in 5 years, they said you can change it back to the spring. So it would give the council the ability to change it from even year to year, I guess, but at least after 5 years, if it wasn't working.
And to me, that sort of flexibility would create mass confusion if every year a council was changing when the election was. So I think you either stick with what you have, or you change it to a specific month at any time of the year, whatever you want it to be, but then be very specific. And 5 years from now, if changing the fall doesn't work, it can be changed back. But I would not allow this
Fluid.
And
fluid
and so
situation.
that would
You will
mean
miss
changing the
deadlines.
charter
Yeah,
again in 5 years,
if
right?
you didn't like what you did in 2025.
Would you refresh my memory, council? I stand adamantly opposed to any change. I think when we had that discussion, but would you refresh my memory why this was recommended?
I'm not involved in the charter committee at all.
Oh,
So I can't speak to that. What I recall you guys sharing with me, which was there was discussions about moving to a specific date. And this was sort of like a compromise position that was proposed, this type of language.
Yes.
Had to have that flexibility. And I understand the kind intention behind that, but I think it would be detrimental to the town not to have a specific date. Whether it's staying, Mr. Lee, or whether it's moving it to a fall date.
well, currently, we have specific.
Yes, and I think that it's much better than switching it to what was proposed.
Well, the charter,
Every year.
yeah, and the chart, yeah, to have a flexibility of moving it. But when we first started with the charter and we were going through this, there was a consensus. And I don't know whether this was before you or not, but to change it to the fall because more elections, people are used to going to the booths in the fall. And we thought maybe because we had low voter turnout, that this would be advantageous to the town.
I thought we were, yeah. And I seem to remember, like, at the last time this came up, I don't know, now having been on the council for a year, but just that the budget and the elections they pretty much overlap. And it creates a lot of work for the staff, which again, it's your jobs, but it is a lot for a small staff. And it was a lot for the council and the mayor, I thought,
Yes.
to do, because we really did try to give a lot of attention to the budget. And then it was time for the election and it was like, woo, you know what I mean? And those things actually do overlap by the time the budget is approved. And then for the incoming council to adopt a budget, to start working
That'd
with a
be a
budget
council.
that
Yeah.
maybe it was an old council or an old mayor that voted it in to get their head around maybe, and whether they're first time or not, but they're gonna take on a budget that somebody else wrote up and voted it in, and they're new, and then they're trying to work together. It's like, it takes 18 months just to get the flow, where if somehow the budget and the election, the two big things, were just kind of offset a little bit, it would give more, I don't know, you could just like get your wits about you know what I mean? And make good decisions and then learn, you'd have time to we're in the budget process, then, you know what I mean? Vote on it apart from this other big, commitment. Anyway, I'm not saying it like really formally, but I don't know, it just
Well, I know when I ran
seems like,
last
Yeah.
spring, and then we had budget, and you spend a long time on the budget, and it's intense. It really
Yeah.
is. It's very intense, and to have to campaign at the same time is horrendous,
Mhm.
actually.
yeah.
It's a lot.
And then, you know, and I think that, yeah, so there's that, and then it is hard for the residents, because residents want to come to budget hearings. And they did, and that was really great, but then it just people kind of peter out, because they only, you know, everybody's working, they only have so much time. Anyway, the other thing is that I think most people think of the fall as election time. May is like, school is ending, people are graduating, they're going on vacation. And we always say in the town, oh, we don't have as good a turnout as we want. We'd like to have a greater voter turnout. If it was in October, November, when people think elections and life is a little more routine, we may be able to get more people to the elections.
Councilperson Fletcher,
Thoughts?
what do you think about this? I know Rick has double checked with the county election, to see if anything would be a problem with changing our election.
Uh-huh.
So what did you find out, Mr. Pollitt?
I exchanged emails with the director of the director of the election supervisors for the county, and she seemed to be delighted that we would consider it. She said there'd be absolutely no logistical challenges or issues by virtue of us moving our election to the regular state and county election day. In fact, Maureen can tell you Ocean City already does. And what we would do if you did make the change is we would talk with the Ocean City staff just to see if there were any kind of twist to the process that we would need to make sure all our bases were covered. But the county said it would not cause any problem at all with the county if we were to change to November.
And so isn't Berlin in October now?
There's
There's the-
October.
Yeah.
October,
Theirs is
fall.
October.
Yeah.
What would that change, as far as having a board of elections?
We would still have our own board. We would conduct our elections just as we do now. It would be we would have our own ballot. It wouldn't be a combined ballot with the state or the county ballot. It would be in our own machines in our own facility. It just would be on the same day as the people, as was said, are in the voting mindset. And while they're out voting for one, they can vote for the other as well. But we would conduct our elections just as we do now. It would just be on a different date.
And practically, if you just want to know, as I live in Ocean City, so I deal with this as a citizen. So it is on election, like the municipal election, state election / federal, whatever it is that year is on the same date. So in my voting polling place is the convention center. I walk into one room, I do the state and federal, and then I follow the signs to the next room and I do the municipal and then municipal, and then I go.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
you'll see a bunch of people I know in town. We're going from room to room and say hi and, out do all your, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Is
Doing
that
regular
in
one day.
November?
Yep, it's on the
It's the first
first Tuesday in
Tuesday in
November,
November.
same as the state elections.
Okay.
It's convenient.
Convenient. So. So we could have a resolution if we wanted to change it, is that correct?
I would have to draft your charter.
Draft the charter amendment.
Amendments, probably, because the date will have to change in several sections.
Okay. So you want to keep it, I want to see who's voting what way, if we want to do this with consensus. So you are against it, is what you're saying, Councilperson Lee?
That's correct.
Well,
Did you have a reason why?
Several.
Okay.
Uh,
I'll
I
just
want,
carry-
I believe that keeping the election the way that it has, this is one of those things for me, that if it's not broke, don't fix it. So the fixes that I hear and the rationale that I hear, I respect them because that's individuals' prerogatives and what they feel. The one thing that has not been explored, and that's what's taking place here in Snow Hill and political expediency. But we don't want to go there just yet. I think that keeping it small and keeping it out of, or keeping it the way that it has been, it focuses attention upon the election. I don't believe that people have not been involved in elections in Snow Hill. I've seen them over the years at different times responding to different candidates. So the response in any election and turnout is the candidates. That's the response to it, not when the election is. It's what are you offering me? What are you doing? And what are you going to do? And that's the issue. I don't want to see that in Snow Hill get caught up with the commissioners' races. Once you do that, you then are going to be dealing with big money coming in from whoever the commissioner is for to do. And that's the trick. That's the tragedy of losing control of your issues at a local level. When you get them caught up with the senator's election, you're getting your election tied up with money and national state issues as opposed to the issues in your township. And that's what I believe that's going to make the difference and here in Snow Hill is that with the change and with the growing interest that you stay focused on that, you will lose that completely if it gets tied to the state elections and the national elections.
But wouldn't that save money if it was all in one location in one place and wouldn't that save?
It could, Mayor. I don't know that.
Okay.
But value, where is the value? See, you tell me about the issue of the money, saving money is one thing, and I lose value, and then I get a wave of emotion. I had a great experience this weekend. I don't know.
So, but that wouldn't change our location, Rick just said, right?
Well, you'd be free to have the same thing. I didn't really understand how Ocean City did it. If you wanted to consider holding yours in a room where another polling place in town for the others, you would have that option. I was just saying that the basic control and conduct of your election would still be in your hands. You wouldn't be giving up anything. If it works out logistically to have a room or a place as part of if the county election is taking place in one of the schools, to have an area for the town election on the same day in the same location, that would be an option, but that's the kind of detail we could work out later.
But respectfully, the point that I make has nothing to do with where you have the election. The point that I make is the major thing is you lose control of it because you open up to the national and state issues, and therefore you open up to the national money and the state money around issues and candidates. So there's no denying that. You influx then money into Snow Hill elections. The way they are now, it is about the quality of the candidate. And what we need to do, I believe, is educate more, get people more involved so that they are totally in control of their government.
Well, if I could just add this, it's not necessary to tie it in directly to the November election date where everybody else votes. City of Fruitland holds their election in October. And excuse me, if it's in the fall, later in the year, that addresses the issue about having the new council involved in the new budget process right from the beginning. And so you take that out of it. You avoid some of the competition with other spring events by doing that, but we don't have to do it on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. It could be late in October, it could be early in October, it could be any date of your choosing. But if your idea was to send it to the fall, then I think that's probably what you were thinking about.
Yeah, it just seems, I guess they said at the charter committee meeting that we can't move the budget. So
Right.
that's station. So that's gotta stay where it is. So if we could, just create some space between the budget. It just gives the new council and mayor a lot more ownership in the budget. And, I think that's pretty. I think that works out nicely. Then they're representing their constituents, they bring all these ideas, they can really weigh in, anyway. Yeah. But yeah, it could be like, yeah, like you said, Fruitland is in October, Berlin is in October.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, thanks. Okay, we've gotten good ideas here. Councilperson Fletcher, how do you feel about this?
I'm kinda in the middle, but I see about the budget. I do. It's not like it's pushing. And I kind of felt that way as a new council person coming in my own self, on a budget that somebody else agreed
Other
on.
grade on.
Yeah.
Mhm. So where are we here? One's in the middle, one's for, one's for against. So do we need more discussion on this, or can you tell me now that we can ask Maureen to plug ahead with this, or not?
I think we have some more discussion.
Us-
Okay.
If I could just toss this out too, and Maureen certainly knows how long it takes to make a change, to put it into practice. But we just issued the quarterly newsletter with the dates for the coming election in May. People will be filing papers and looking into their own candidacy subject to the status quo. I don't know how much time you have if you were to make a change without disrupting the beginning of the current election process.
Well, probably wouldn't affect people, who are filing. They would just have longer to file.
Yeah, because we have somebody pick up
I thought we were gonna put that in the.
today.
That's-
How long would this take?
Well, we draft, you have to advertise for 40-some days. So I would say all in all, plus hitting your regular meeting dates, I mean, that's probably a couple months.
A couple months.
Say, for example, if we did it in February, you still have your 40 days of advertising, you're talking about probably April.
That's
Yeah.
too
You could
close.
If we wanted
also
to decide to do that.
We wouldn't have to, oh, what is
I'm
it?
sorry, what?
You could have it go in effect, if you didn't want it to be in effect for 2025, it could be in effect for 2026.
Six.
You don't have to
Right.
Right,
rush.
okay. Councilperson Lee?
I'm certain that we discussed this timeline. I think, and if I recall, I may be wrong.
The timeline for,
Yeah, from the charter commission has not put anything. The charter commission, when I served as a voting member and now as a ex officio member, were very clear that the issues that will come from the charter were gonna come in a package, and they're not gonna come one by one. What this would do, if we are asking the council to vote on it, it kind of works against what the understanding has been over the past. So how has this changed that a charter, this would be the first charter piece to come out, and we were very clear.
No.
We voted stuff already. That
We were-
you guys have sent stuff
yeah,
to us,
we've.
to the council last year, this year.
Yes.
I didn't hear what you said, Mayor, I'm sorry.
We have voted on some other resolutions, charter resolutions.
Have we?
before.
Mhm.
Which ones? Would
You just
tell
did
me?
all the ones that were related to, Purnell Street and bonds and referendums.
Mhm.
Those came out of the process for Purnell Street. They weren't necessarily suggested to
Oh, on the chart?
the charter committee, but
Excuse me.
in 2024, you guys did do charter.
But the council has the right, they do not have to, whatever's proposed to them, they can change. Council has that right. Even
But
if they
that's-
come, it's not a given that the council has to approve whatever the committee says. That's not a given. Council can change, because the council gives the approval.
I understand that, but that's contrary, in my opinion, contrary to what you said on that committee. You were a member of that committee, you're now an official member, and you were very clear of the discussions that we had on this. And you're right, I agree with you. The council does not have to agree with what,
Right.
I agree with that, but I think it's a little, something's. Why are we changing the rule, not the rules, of the understandings in the middle of the game?
No, well, in my opinion, and I was on the charter committee from the very beginning, and there was consensus, and I think we voted on it, that we would recommend the fall. And then after the election, something happened with the committee to say, well, maybe not in the fall, but we were definitely for the fall in the very beginning. So after the election, I'm not sure what happened with that. All right, Councilperson Fletcher, what was your recommendation?
I think we should wait a minute. And if so, if it would change, do it for 2026, not for this year.
Okay. So we have one against, one for, and one for, but 26. Is that what you're talking about? You are for moving to the fall.
I'm still in between.
You're
I
still in
just-
between.
But if I get 4, I would say it for 2026. Yeah, I just want to look at this. I just want checks something out.
Okay, so are you recommending, because we.
I
have
say
one
wait
for, one
just a
against,
moment and
to the next work session?
yeah, that can be good.
Okay. All right, we'll discuss it then. The next work session. All right, the next item C, council liaison to planning, zoning and building, police and public works and public utilities department. If you look at the very last page in your packet, I have given a definition of what a liaison is. This is a memo to Mayor and Town Council from Rick Pollock. And, it says in an effort to increase council understanding and awareness of activities underway in our respective departments and to provide further engagement in the daily operations of the town, I am proposing to assign one council member to each of the listed departments as an unofficial liaison. While there would be no formal management or direction of staff, and I want, to emphasize that, council may feel free to ask questions of the department heads to learn as much as you can about the mission and functions of these departments and be able to offer suggestions to the mayor that may lead to improvements in operations and services to the public. And I do appreciate the strong interest council has demonstrated in the conduct of town business and hopes this offer for a new level of communication and collaboration will be welcome and accepted in the spirit with which it is offered. Any discussion about this or any, of the departments that you would like to be a liaison, or I have a matter of just picking out of a hat?
I think it's great. I applaud you. I really, really do.
Okay.
I think that this is clearly a step in the right direction. I applaud it.
Okay, good.
I, would be interested in planning.
Planning? Okay. Now, okay, let me ask you, what would you, if you, it's just because somebody's picked one, well, I can pick one out of a hat, or I can do what your interests are. So Councilperson Walsh?
Done a lot with the codes before and during, but yeah,
Okay,
I don't know, I guess Aaron wears two hats, huh? Code and planning. I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud.
oh, sure, sure.
Um,
Planning, we could split that, is it planning and code?
I'm just thinking out loud.
Okay,
Uh,
so we have,
So this is saying planning, zoning and building,
yes, it's
Police.
one,
yeah, and
police,
police, and
is
then
one.
public works.
Public
and
works
public
/
Utility.
public utilities, wastewater treatment plant. Now, if you would rather just do public works, if you want to split that up, that's fine with me. I will just cover anything else.
could do be interested in wastewater treatment.
You would?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
It's definitely, it's tied to planning and things, you know,
okay.
as one supports the other.
And Councilperson Fletcher, what do you think?
I said public works.
Public Works? Okay. So I have Councilperson Lee, Code and Planning. I have Councilperson Walsh, wastewater treatment plant. And I have, Public Works for Councilperson Fletcher. Is that good? Is that good?
It's good to me.
Good? You good?
Mhm.
Okay, so now everybody knows the liaison. It's not, you give, you're kind of the person who is a cheerleader for that department.
And brings
You-
information
you
back to the council.
Bring information back to me. If they need something, you feel like, you know, they haven't gotten this or they haven't gotten that, or they are doing a great job and you want them to be recommended for proclamation or any, you know, anything like that. Is that clear to you? Okay. Yep. All right. Okay, so that can start immediately.
Great, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, let's go to public comment. Anyone? You want to talk? You want to say anything?
Sat here and just
You
enjoyed
good?
myself listening.
Okay, good, good, I'm glad. Announcements from mayor and council. Councilperson Lee?
Two things. I saw this, town letter. Is this what you call a newsletter message? I think the content, this black and white, and this, image wise, this does not resonate well. I understand if you look on, I understand the conflict. The internet, anyway, I got it, I got it. And then you look at this and say, well, you know, more people on there, I got it. This is hard for image. I hope we never send out another one of these black and white like this.
Okay.
This is,
Have to talk to Ms.
I agree 100%.
oh,
You on that?
That, I know
Write it
I
down.
had spoke to you,
And the content we didn't get a draft.
I
Come to the
didn't
council.
wanna do that, I want one thing at a time.
Well, it just says it's from the mayor and council,
Yeah,
right? But it's
yeah.
not really from the mayor and council.
Yeah, you got it, one thing at a time.
I'm sorry, didn't mean to steal your thunder,
Yeah.
but I'm with
Okay.
you.
What else?
And also, the minutes, I want to understand this, I'm learning. The minutes are here from the last meeting, are they for discussion now? Because I have some comments.
No, they've already been passed. That was just an example of what was said in yellow part, or this part, these parts. This was just talking about, the election discussion, the town election discussion. That's,
I'm
those are
not,
minutes. We don't approve minutes except in a town meeting.
I understand, that's not my question. I understand that. But why, if I've got a question about these, probably some mechanical stuff, content stuff. When do I discuss that?
You read them on when Candace sends the packet out before town meetings. And if it's any correction, you can email her.
It's not
you
a
can say it.
correction, or, maybe I said, I'm expressing myself wrong, not correct. Let me take a shot at one of these, and if it's out of order, just rule it out, is that fair enough?
Well, this is announcements. I think you need to sit down with Mr. Pollock and talk to him about the minutes.
Okay.
And,
Okay,
Candace,
Okay.
bring in there, maybe brought in, and we can go over that with you.
okay,
Is that good?
sure.
Okay. All right, Councilperson Walsh.
I agree with Councilperson Lee about the newsletter.
Okay. Got noted. Councilperson Fletcher.
I have, not an announcement, but I have a comment.
Okay.
In December, the water bills were late for, I'm not sure, do you get yours in December?
I do.
So that was.
No, I don't. I get it sooner than that.
So that was Eastern District, and I understand that,
Well,
when
the
the
water
system
districts
changed.
are different than the voting districts, but.
Right,
Yeah, but-
no, well, I can pull it up if I have.
But anyway,
fun. But, anyway, this time here, January, I know it was snow. I just want it to be like public record, but I think that we should talk about it, maybe in a work session, bring up about water bills.
yeah,
Because this month, the snow, we can't help the weather, but it has dated for January the 1st that meters was read. Water bills didn't come out in the Western District, and I checked different streets and people came out 15th, 16th, 17th. Some people got theirs as late as the 20th something. And water bills are due on the 31st. That's not everybody is, people have to get their money together or be able to pay their bills. But what can we do as the town to help people about this getting their bills late? I will say one other thing. I had 2 people come to me and say they are, one person said they get multiple water bills at their address. And they came in one envelope not sealed at all. They were all stuffed in an envelope. Some people got copies, not just a regular bill. So I think, because I couldn't answer that, I think that's something we need to bring up and talk about in a work session to be able to, if that's where the new system is going or something like that, but I just don't know. I couldn't answer, but I said I would bring it up.
I obviously would prefer Melissa to answer, but we
Mhm.
are transitioning to new meter reading software, new accounting software, so on and so forth. So absolutely, those 2 mailings, billing was late. We're not charging penalties, we're not charging late fees. And the reads were done correctly at the right time. So the reads were done correctly. And this, I think, she's processed two billings in that new system. Now she's on the third. They do need to go out sooner, I mean, without a doubt, but we're not
Right.
charging any penalties, any late fees, nothing.
Can we put out a town communication about that?
Cause
I
that
do
could
feel
have been
like-
something, sorry to cut
Okay.
you off, that
Yeah.
could have been something that
In the
we could have
newsletter.
had in that newsletter, like,
It's actually helpful.
our system is changing.
Okay.
Be patient with us, we understand.
Oh, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I didn't expect this to happen.
Right,
Right.
yeah,
But
that's
we-
that's
yeah.
fine.
Even in the, I do feel that way about the newsletter, well, anyway, the communication in general, like, things that affect the residents. Like, there's 3 paragraphs about the upcoming election, everybody knows how they work, that's fine. But it looked like we were reaching for stuff to put in there. You know what I mean, like, we didn't have anything else, it's kind of a thin document.
Yeah,
It doesn't have much in it, and I feel like there's a lot that could be in it. All the positive things that have been happening in town, as well as, yeah, your water bill, pardon our dust kind of thing while we're, and because people just got hit by Delmarva Electric, did the same thing. And so now, at the end of the month, they're looking at $500 and $600, because Delmarva did not bill everybody. And that's why people have one of the reasons they have such high bills, because we called. They did not automatically deduct their billing, even if you're signed up for automatic deductions. Anyway, it's all coming together. It's a cold winter, and now people are getting hammered.
well, and then
Two
while
things that-
we just drop back to that
Yeah.
paper thing there. One of the first things I met with that young man and I asked him, I said, when you print my name, it is Edward S. Lee. And I noticed that,
Is it Edward Lee?
no ma'am,
Okay.
that's one of the first things I said to him. And the other thing was, and just, since we're talking, now, good. The other thing that I suggested to him was that you have a corner where the council people can have something to say, So I would add, as you look at this, and I know you will look at it, take that into consideration. That the comments that have been made over the past about the paper. So we'll leave that on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So.
A second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn.
Good night. See you tomorrow.
Night.